Hi, welcome back. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about leadership and some of what's required to get this leadership aspect of taking your company forward right. Okay, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about the problem with leadership. So the thing is with leadership is our business will grow to the level of leadership that we provide to the organisation. So unfortunately, or fortunately as the case may be, because it's one of the easiest aspects to change in an organisation is the leader's ability to lead. We can actually increase the leader's ability to lead very quickly by empowering them with the right tools, because ultimately we never learned this at school. When you don't have the right tools, it's a little bit like the blind leading the blind. We kind of know where we want to go, but we keep getting stuck in recurring cycles and wound up in fishing wire is the analogy that I use. So ultimately, when we aren't moving to a place where we're trying to leverage and scale and share and delegate responsibility effectively, what happens is we become part of the problem, and as a consequence the business doesn't grow. So I discovered this about 10 years ago, and before that I'd been running my own organisation. And I started from a bedroom startup and took it to a commercial enterprise, and partway through, I was actually a mortgage broker in the early days, partway through I got stuck in the roller coaster of having to find work and do more work, and find work and do more work. And when I focused on chasing work, the production and the delivery wasn't happening. Then I'd go and focus on the delivery, and the finding work wasn't happening. And I really got to see that I had a very narrow or shallow internal locum of control, is the psychological term, but essentially I could only grow to about 8 staff essentially. Any more and I'd start to run into trouble. 8 to 12 staff is kind of the area that a lot of businesses get stuck. So I needed to cross that bridge, and I couldn't cross that bridge operating the way I had been in terms of the locum of control, which is basically me doing everything and putting out all the fires and running around like a headless chook from fire to fire essentially. And so I needed to build structure and get the business to grow. And so when I realised that, the whole game changed, and basically I went from a higher peaks and troughs in terms of the roller coaster cash flow that is the effect of leading that way, to consistent growth. And the growth after that point was quite significant. So it was a nice experience to have, break through that. So now what I do is I work with organisations to lead their category, sell properly or in a way that the marketplace finds very tasteful, so they buy in a way that makes the customers want to stay for a long period of time, and teach their people to be empowered and own their roles and support the organisation's direction. So abdicating responsibility is what a lot of people do. Abdicate responsibility. And we don't want to abdicate responsibility. We don't want to just get it off our plate. We actually want to share it. And I'll tell you why. I haven't got a spell checker on my whiteboard. But we want to share responsibility, not abdicate it. And when you share it, you actually create more accountability reciprocally, because basically you're not trying to get off the hook and you're not trying to force somebody else to be on the hook. You're actually sharing responsibility, and also you're sharing the outcome. If you do that well, you can share a whole lot of responsibility and still have quite a strong level of control or empowerment over the outcome. All of a sudden you become scalable, or your organisation becomes scalable, because you can do more with less effort. That's the first part. Second thing, in order to do that, you need tools. And I keep harping on about KPIs and dashboards, and I won't stop, because accountability structure will set you free. Accountability and structure is often seen as a constraint, but it isn't. Accountability and structure will absolutely set you free. Now, we have to have a reasonable amount of comfort around failure, and we're not saying people can't fail. We're just saying we're all on the hook to get results or produce results. If you understand these tools, it makes your life as a leader a whole lot easier. Okay, and the third principle I want to talk about is future-based language. So, if you haven't read this book, and I know a lot of people that haven't, I highly suggest you read it. The 3 Laws of Performance. And fortunately it's pretty dog-eared, so I have actually read it multiple times, used it as a guide, not a Bible. And what this book talks about is the way that future-based language alters how situations occur. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier. If you want to lead people, you need to adjust their thinking to what's going to serve them. And you need to guide them forward along a pathway that suits their direction and our mutual direction. It's very difficult to do that if we're using past-based language. Basically, we become part of the problem and we get wound up in fishing wire. Future-based language comes when we're clear on our direction and we know the steps to get there, and we start adjusting people's thinking along the way and essentially herding the cats in such a way, not with a shepherd's hook, because have you ever tried herding a cat with a shepherd's hook? I don't think it would work very well. It's really about being a bit of a Pied Piper, and true leaders inspire action. So in summary, lifting the ceiling on leadership so that your business can grow, so you can own your market position, take a strong position, is about, number one, delegating responsibility through sharing responsibility as opposed to abdicating responsibility and getting people on board with that. Number two, having the tools, so having the internal structures and measuring systems and ways to make performance visible. And number three, operating from a future-based place where people are essentially inspired and invigorated to be part of the journey.